talk about hard versus soft pencils. Every day I say in the studio to my students, for this drawing, I want you to get out a harder pencil, or for this drawing, you might want to pull out a softer pencil. And they always turn to me and ask, wait, which one is which again? So it might be helpful for you to stick up a chart in your studio or on the wall in front of your drawing desk. I've got one right here. I've got hard pencils on one side. Remember that your harder pencils are also lighter in value. And then I've got my soft pencils on the other side, which are also darker in value. In the very center, I've got HB. Then as they move over to the soft side, they're going to go higher in the letter B. So I start with B, 2B, all the way up to 9B. And then my ebony, which I think is about equal to a 9B. On the hard and the light side, I've got an F, an H, and then 2H all the way through to 9H. So if you stick this up right by where you're drawing, you're going to be able to refer back to it. When I say get a softer pencil, you'll be able to look on here, grab one of your softer pencils, and it will be easier for you. But I think it also helps to know more about why you would use a hard versus a soft pencil for your different drawings, because that way you actually understand the differences between the pencils, and it'll start to intuitively make more sense about which drawing you'll want to do with what type of pencil as you get more proficient at this. Pencil making as a profession has been around since at least the 1660s. Graphite is the material used in pencils nowadays, so it has been that way since the 1560s, not lead. We call it a lead still, but lead is unsafe, and we've been using graphite for much longer than we realize. Graphite is a form of carbon, and its structure is made of flat platelets that have weak bonds between them, so it's slippery. You'll see that when you saturate a piece of paper with your pencil marks. After a while, you can't darken certain areas of the paper any longer because of the slipperiness of graphite. Therefore, you have to plan ahead and use the correct pencil to create the appropriate values. Hard pencils are formulated differently than soft pencils. All pencils have a mix of graphite, clay, and water in them. Harder pencils have more clay. It's a harder material than the slippery graphite, and it lightens the value of the pencil. Softer pencils have less clay in their formation and more graphite, so that's what makes them softer and darker. Next, I'm going to demonstrate the differences in the pencils so you can see how they look different, and I'll share when to use them in different projects. So when I'm working on a more complicated drawing, for example, this drawing of Mojo the pug, I'm going to do my beginning outline work in a harder pencil because that way I can kind of erase. They're lighter. I'm going to be able to erase and just draw again. I'm not going to worry about smudging too much. So I'm going to use that hard pencil in order to do my beginning outline work, and then I'm going to switch to a softer pencil. I usually use softer pencils for shading because I can get a range of values out of a softer pencil. I can make it really light if I want to by pressing less hard, or I can make it much darker by pressing harder and layering. With this one in particular, I chose a 3B to use, and the reason for that is that I want to be able to get a very dark value range here because Mojo is a black pug. So by layering more here and adding more pressure, I was able to get the dark blackness of his hair, but then I'm also able to press less hard and show the individual hairs and the directional line of the hair. With a 3B, so it's a softer pencil, but it maintains its form just a little bit so that I can get some individual marks showing as well. Okay, so with this demonstration, I'm going to show you the difference between soft and hard pencils. Here with a 4B, you're going to see some of the more obvious things about soft pencils. They lose their point more easily, so you sharpen more often. They break more easily in the pencil sharpener because they're softer. And when drawing with them, you're going to see that automatically, even without changing my pressure, they're going to look darker. The individual lines feather over each other more readily. They're going to show more of the speckly paper texture through their mark. They don't compress the page nearly as much, which is why that speckly texture shows. And here you can see that that lead is really dented where I've used it. And there's less sound and they feel smoother on the page than a harder pencil. Here with the harder pencil, I'm using a 2H. You're going to see that this one keeps its point for longer, and I'm going to sharpen less. They break less easily in the pencil sharpener because the torque doesn't impact the lead as much as the soft pencil. When drawing with them, you're going to see that they're lighter to begin with without changing my pressure. The lines maintain a tighter form, so you're going to see more individual lines. I call this a stripey effect. They're going to show less of the paper texture through the mark, and that's because they compress the page more. So you aren't going to see that speckly texture nearly as much with a hard pencil. And also they're going to sound and feel scratchier on the page. So you'll be able to see a real difference between your pencils when you use them. Thank you all so much for watching. More videos are coming soon, so if you wish to subscribe to my channel, go ahead and do that. And also you can check out my website, lzmstudio.com.